G'day everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you've been following my videos for a while now, you would have seen that most of what I've done up until this point has been about stripping the bus out, so removing all the interior linings. I did a bit of work to repair some rust in the floor and put a whole new floor in, and I feel like I've finally finished the demolition kind of part of the bus, and I'm starting to move a little bit closer to being actually able to do the build. So the next kind of phase that I want to do is to get the bus watertight. Obviously, before I start putting pretty things on the inside, I want to make sure that I get rid of all the leaks. So the job that I'm going to be doing today is actually fixing up the tail lights at the back of the bus, because both of them leak. The one on the driver's side actually leaks quite badly, and I suspect it was probably one of the sources of the water damage that I had in the original floor at the back of the bus. So I'm going to be taking the lights out, cleaning them up, making sure there's no rust in the frame underneath, and then I've got new rubber gasket seals to put on. So hopefully I'll get them cleaned up and nice and watertight again. Okay, so to remove the whole taillight assembly, obviously firstly I'm going to unplug the lights, so it's just a matter of unplugging it from the main plug there and then unplugging each of these globes to get them out of the way. And then the actual casing is bolted through the frame of the bus by 7 little bolts. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, there's 2 underneath, 4, 5, and then the others are actually hidden. The bolt in there, and then there's another one hiding in there. So to get those off, you'll need a socket wrench that's got an extension on it so that you can stick it through the holes in there and get them off. So it's just a matter of undoing the nuts on all of those bolts, and then should be able to just pry off the assembly from the outside of the bus. Right, well you can tell straight away why this thing was leaking. I mean, look at this rubber gasket, it's just completely deteriorated. It's actually really brittle and feels stiff and hard when you touch it, and it's just breaking into pieces, and there's so much mud and dirt just caked in here. So it definitely needs to have a really good clean and a new rubber gasket, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. And this is what the frame looks like underneath the light. It's actually pretty good. I can't see any evidence of rust. This is all just basically caked on dirt, so hopefully once I give it a good clean, that'll all come off. I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, here comes a supervisor. Hello, puppy. What do you think? This one looks a little bit different to the one on the driver's side, because I can only actually see 4 bolts in this one. There's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it looks like there may have been one in there, but it's actually like rusted off. I'm not sure, and I can't see any others. There's also a hole here that looks like it probably should have had a bolt in it at some stage, so maybe it's rusted off as well. So not too sure how this one's going to go. I'm just going to take these 4 bolts off that I can see, and see what happens when I pry off the casing. this one's being a real bugger. The nut's completely rusted, and now when I try to turn it, it's just turning the whole bolt. So I'm going to have to go get something to grip it with. Okay, well I think I've figured out the reason why this passenger side window is different. I'd say what's happened is that this is obviously a much older taillight assembly, and it's probably just deteriorated and broken over time, and previous owner has fixed it by just putting in some different bolts. So this is the newer one here that's obviously since I've cleaned it up, it's in pretty good condition, and you can see the 6 bolts that were holding it into the bus. So there's sort of, the bolts are built in to the assembly, and they're all in really good condition. Whereas this one, you can see that there's actually no bolts where the original ones should have been. Looks like what the previous owner has done is actually just put in 4 new bolts, which are a different size. So there's these ones here, and then there would have been one in there. That was the really rusted one that I sort of busted getting it out just before. I don't think I'm going to put this one back in, because obviously I can't use that again, and this is busted off in here now anyway, so you know I would have to somehow glue another bolt in there if I was going to use this. The fact that it's only got 4 bolts and not where they're designed to be is probably going to mean, even if I could fix that one, that it's just not going to seal up against the bus as well. So I think what I'm going to do is just buy a completely new assembly for the passenger side and fit that instead, because I think this is just past it, and you know my goal is obviously to fix up the leaks and make it watertight, and I don't think that's going to work too well with this one. So that's a bit of a nuisance. I'm going to put a bit of a delay on things now, because I'm going to have to order one of these, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take, whether there's any in stock in Australia. We'll find out. But in the meantime, I've cleaned this up, and I can go ahead and replace the gasket on that and put it back in at least, and hopefully get it sealed up. Really well. There's no rust in this bit at all, which is good. So these are my new seals. I bought these online from Coaster Parts in New South Wales, and I think they were $30-something each from memory. These are genuine Toyota ones, and they're specifically for my model coaster. So make sure if you're ordering these that you actually get the right ones. They're both exactly the same, but you can tell which way around they go. Firstly, because the holes in the rubber will match up with the bolts in the light housing itself, but also I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this on the top of the rubber. It's a bit hard to make out, but it actually says R top, so that's the right side top, and if I flip it over the other way, it says L top, so that would be for the left hand side. So this light here is the driver's side, which is the right side of the bus. So it goes on this way, and I think it's just a matter of matching up the holes in the rubber with the bolts in the light. So if I do this, just go around. Put the main holes on like that, and then there's a couple of smaller holes that match up with little plastic kind of pegs sticking out, so if you put them on as well, there's another little one there, and one more there, and if you just make sure they're all pushed down, I think that's pretty much it. And then when this gets fitted back onto the bus and the bolts are tightened up, this should press really nicely against the seal. I don't know if I'm going to need any extra sealant or silicone or anything around this. Hopefully not. We'll just have to see how watertight it is once I've fitted it back onto the bus. Well, I fitted the light back into the bus. It all looks like it's sealed up nicely, but the big test now comes to see if it's actually watertight. Yeah, this is looking really good. Before I fixed this light, when it rained, there was a lot of water coming through this corner here. I can't see any water there or anywhere else around. The floor's nice and dry. Ignore that, that's just a bit of oil that I spilt previously. Yep, it all looks really good. Doesn't look like there's any water getting in at all, so I'm happy with that. The driver's side tail light at least is all sorted and watertight, yay. Obviously now I need to wait till I get the replacement for the other side before I can finish it off, but the process will be exactly the same. And it looks like those new rubber gaskets are going to do the trick. It's sealed up nicely. So that's one job out of the way. The next job to be done is one that I've kind of been a bit nervous about starting and putting off for a little while, and that is the windows. So in the next video I'll be starting to take the windows out, clean them up, replace the seals on those. Some of the windows will be staying out and I'll be replacing them with aluminium composite panel, and some of them of course will be going back in, so that'll be a big job. Hopefully I can do that without breaking any windows. Stay tuned for the next video and we'll find out.